Depression is one of those things that can sneak up on you. It's not something you're going to always know it's about to happen. Sometimes it's in the stillness of you just not wanting to do anything. And there's levels, I want to say levels and spectrums to depression, right? Because there are those who are clinically depressed, and that is something, if you do think you are, you should definitely go see a doctor. And then there are just some of us that depressed in the sense of like we have a combination of feeling like everything is too much and also feeling burnt out. And I know sometimes we can confuse the two, because burnt out is very much like you done exhausted yourself to the fullest of fullest, and depression is more so like you're very sad about situations that's going on. But in the definition alone, like when you actually hear the definition, it can literally be that you are depressed but you're not sad. And I say that because I actually had an episode of just literally being in a depressive state of mind where I was not sad, but I did not want to do anything. And it doesn't really classify as burnout, because let's go to the definition of burnout. So burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. Symptoms are emotional exhaustion, which is feeling drained, overwhelmed, unable to cope. Physical symptoms can be fatigue, headaches, insomnia. It could be detachment, feeling negative, disillusion, reduced effectiveness, difficulty in concentrating, decreased productivity, and procrastination. And the causes are prolonged stress in the workplace, chronic stress in other areas of life, family, unrealistic expectations, lack of coping mechanism or support system, right? And then what's the definition of depression? Depression is a common mental health condition categorized by persistent feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. Symptoms are persistent low mood, loss of interest or pleasure in activities, change in appetite or weight, sleep disturbances, fatigue or loss of energy, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, feelings of guilt, worthlessness or hopelessness, thoughts of death or unaliving yourself. And this is why it's so important that you understand the definition of words and you don't use words loosely, because you don't want to speak anything upon yourself that is not the actual facts. And I know we live in a world where it's common misconception of saying certain things and not really truly knowing the meaning behind it. So I'm a person where I really feel like understand the words that you're saying, especially if you're speaking it over your life. If you are someone who deals with clinical depression, you have to first see a doctor to make sure, because there are steps and things you have to do along the way. If you are a person that honestly life is just lifing and things are getting really, really stressful, you need to take a step back, right? You need to understand that you're not going to always be on 100. And I can honestly say this past week, I was not on 100. I was very much non-existent, and it came out of nowhere. And that's the thing when it comes to burnout or depression, those are things that can truly come out of nowhere. There's not always a trigger. It could just be the fact that you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been taking a beat, taking a step back, or life is just really lifing and it's a lot and you cannot maintain it right now, right? And that's why it's so important that if you truly want to be able to bounce back, be able to get out of depression, to be able to get back into a mindset where you're able to move, where you're no longer feeling burnt out, you need to create routines and habits that's going to help you along the way. Because this is the thing, when you're feeling either burnout or depressed, however the case may be, and it's not sadness, I want to emphasize that you're not sad. You're just literally like you're exhausted, right? We're not talking about sadness, because sadness is something that's very sensitive, and it's so important that we understand that being sad is valid, but you can't stay there. So you have to, especially if you're someone that you go through spurts of sadness all the time, that's a deeper work you have to do. I'm just talking about straight up, you have fallen off and you completely don't want to do anything at all. This can be depression, this can be burnout, because there's different levels on the spectrum. That's just facts. If you are someone who's had it where you literally just don't feel like doing anything at all, the best thing to do, and something that I was even reminded of, is to just continue to do the routines that you have. It doesn't mean do it 100%, 1,000%. Just do what you can. Like literally, sometimes you just need to go through it. Like I literally was in bed for 5 days. 5 days I was in bed, did not go outside. That is so unlike me. So I knew it was real, especially when I finally took a shower and I realized I ain't taken a shower all week. I did not know. I did not realize. And that's the thing, when you're in that state of mind where you don't want to do anything at all, you're literally doing nothing at all. All I was doing was binge watching Shadowhunter. I didn't even like it. I'm not gonna hold you. I think the only thing I liked about the show was Magnus and Alec. That's it. The whole show itself was just like, oh, I didn't really care for it. But I was very much like just in the bed watching Shadowhunters. And that's just what I did. And often people look down upon you for like feeding into the feeling. But the thing is, sometimes you do have to do that. Sometimes you do have to just stay there, just live there. Because if you don't, it's going to be worse later on if you force yourself. Now, it doesn't mean stay there forever. At some point, you got to get up. At some point, you got to get up. And you gotta push through. And you don't have to start with the hardest thing. You don't have to start feeling like you need to, okay, I was in bed 5 days, now I gotta get everything all together. No, just do what you can. If that means taking a long shower, you take that long shower. Take that long shower. And this is where your routines and habits come in place. If you are a person that you already had a routine that you were doing before this episode happened, just do your routine. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. If you're a person that didn't have a routine, what are the things that made you feel good that you can do, right? If it's having a morning coffee, if it's going for a walk, if it's taking a long shower, if it's brushing your teeth, because you know it's been a couple of days you didn't brush your teeth, if it's having your favorite silly little drink, if it's having your favorite meal. These are things that's going to help you get back into feeling like yourself. I took the longest shower. I scrub-a-dub-dub, made sure I felt so good. And then after that, I made breakfast. And I made my favorite yoga. Well, it wasn't one of my favorite yoga bowls, but it was a yoga bowl. Made my yoga bowl. After that, what did I do? Oh, I did my makeup and recorded content, because content always inspires me. It always pumps me up. It always makes me feel like, yes, I'm in this, you know. And then after that, I just sat and I started feeling a lot better. And that's why I truly believe sometimes you just have to focus. Even when you're going through what you're going through, you just have to go through it. And that's why, and this is why it's so important to have those little things that help you along the way. And that's why I feel like having these routines, having these little habits, whether or not like they're staples, just things that bring you joy, things that make you feel like yourself, goes a long way. And it's so important that even if you don't have a routine right now, that you start to implement a routine. And the thing is, your routine doesn't have to look like everybody else. I know social media has made it seem like you need to be a 5 a.m. girly, a 6 a.m. girly. You have to do this, you have to do that for it to be a morning routine. No, you just have to do what works for you. If you are a person that you need to have like a little drinky drink in the morning, you go ahead and do that. If you're a person that you have to go for a walk, if you're a person that maybe you just like to read, you want to read for 20 minutes before you start your day. If it's a workout class, you know, that motivates you, or just going to the gym in general, you know, like find things that are going to help you along the way, because depression is real, burnout is real, and it's so important that you do have a routine throughout your week that kind of like helps you prevent that, because it's very easy to feel overwhelmed. It's very easy to feel like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulder, especially if you are an individual that have a child, or if you are an individual that takes care of a parent, or you are an individual that literally is pretty much the breadwinner in your life, or you're trying to figure out life and you have to start all over. Whatever your case may be, it can get a lot and it will sneak up on you. You will think you're doing great, and then boom, it happens, and you can't be mad at yourself, because you're a human being. You're not supposed to carry the weight of all of the world on you. You're not supposed to carry the weight of everything on you. That's just facts. You have to be able to let go and allow yourself to do what you can and take care of the rest later. And that's kind of the mindset I've been at. It's been a little bit difficult because I am carrying so much right now, but I'm trying to constantly remind myself, do the best you can, do what you can, and worry about the rest later. Because at the end of the day, there are things that are priorities. There are things that are going to be higher on the list that you just have to do. So you can't get upset that you can't do everything, right? Like maybe you can't get to the dishes right now, so you do the dishes in the morning or you do the dishes at the end of the week. It's not gonna kill you. You're not gonna fall over. It's not gonna be the end of the world if you don't get to the dishes or if you don't do your weekly reset today. It just means you'll do it later because something else was a little bit more important. We're trying to find time to do so much, so eventually it is going to feel like a lot. So it's so important to just relax and do what you can. And that's why I say routine and habits will always help you, even when you're coming out of a burnout moment, a depressive moment, and you just feel like you don't want to do anything at all. Live in that for a little bit. It's okay. You're human. Live in that a little bit. But once it's, because you're going to know it's time to get up. You're going to know it's time to get up. Now, if it's longer than a week, I really do think you should go and see a specialist, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you know all that is going on within yourself, not just, you know, physically, but mentally as well. But if you're able to get up. Because sometimes you do have to force yourself to get up. Get up and go do something. It don't got to be everything, just something. Even if it's going to get coffee with a friend, maybe you're somebody where you need to like talk to a friend, and not about what's going on, but just in general, have a conversation, just a regular conversation, and it makes you feel good, you know. Definitely find a therapist. I am a heavy believer in therapy. At the end of the day, okay, you can't keep everything bottled in. Make sure the person aligns with you. That's very important. Make sure you have a good chemistry with the person that you're going to basically tell your whole life to. So I've heard horror stories of women and men both not meshing with their therapist, and some being, it feels like too deep, they're too deep in to find somebody new. So it gives them more trauma than healing the trauma that they already have, which is never good. So if you are someone who went through a depressive state, or you are going through something right now, I want you to know that it is okay, that these are things that's going to happen sometimes, because you are a human being, and we have a lot of responsibilities, and things are getting a little bit tougher right now. Eggs is freaking $16, $10, $12. So that alone stresses you out. Like, this is stressing me out where I'm gonna get my eggs from. Like, it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, these are things that will make you feel just overwhelmed. So it's so important that you find stress relievers. It's so important that you get routines, you get habits in that will help you when you do have these moments, and be able to get you up out of that rut, get you up out of that mindset. Because at the end of the day, you can do it. Just because you're having a moment doesn't mean you're not going to attain the goals that you have. It doesn't mean you're not going to achieve the dreams that you want to achieve. It just means you have to slow down just a little bit to make sure you take care of you. So if you are going through something like that, or if you have in the past, I encourage you to start setting routines up, start setting habits of, you know, having those things in place, so that when you are in those moments, you're able to bounce back stronger and better.